Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public service announcement. For regular viewers and listeners of AWI Pod, please do not be offended, as this program contains good wrestling.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the final episode of A Cup of UK Heritage. I am your host, Brent Piles, and I have got my good pal, old Glenn Abbott, here with me, GA WrestleNut. Glenn, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, considering.
Right.
It's sad, isn't it? It is sad. As I said to you the other day in the chat after I watched these, it's like you wish you could tell them what was going to happen.
Right.
They're blindly going into this thing and just ending abruptly.
It's like you're
got a clue.
It's like when you're watching a horror movie, but you know the ending and you just want to scream to the people, "Don't open the closet!"
Yeah, don't go in there. You don't need to go into the woods.
Yeah, I noticed, I think right before the second match that we'll talk about, they kind of they showed a video package for NXT Europe coming soon.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, not like that the fact that NXT Europe, but just thinking of that, knowing that NXT UK is going to be done. It was like, oh.
Yeah. Well, nobody did right to the end. It was basically the last episode. They said, well, this is it, folks. Goodbye.
Very sad stuff. But, so we got two more to go here. They're going to be between the same two people. It's Mark Coffey taking on Noam Dar. The first story of this very first match is, Shaw Samuels is always making bets. He's always giving odds. And when they announced that it was going to be Dar versus Mark Coffey again, Shaw Samuel announces to everyone that he's giving out 100-1 odds on Mark Coffey winning. So basically, this whole thing is, if he loses, Shaw's going to lose fucking everything. He's going to be out on his ass. And Shaw's also banned from ringside. He tries to bribe the referee, but the referee tells him to go get stiff. And so another interesting dynamic to the match that Dar has to win, or else this good friend Shaw Samuels is going to be broke.
Yeah, I can't remember what the date of this first one is. I wrote it. Oh, hang on, no, good. I've got it written down somewhere.
We've got it written down somewhere. I believe it was June.
July the 14th.
There we go. July.
So, yeah. Not wishing to give away any spoilers, but I think most people know what happened. Is between July the 14th and August, whatever it was. You can tell I researched this well, can't you? August the 25th. That was some of the best stories and amusing stories that they'd ever had on NXT UK with Shaw Samuels.
It was really some really good stuff. Yeah, like I said, added another layer to the match for sure. So they get out here, we get the first round going, and I mean, not really a whole lot to note of the first round other than Mark Coffey seemed to be a step ahead of Noam Dar, frustrating Noam Dar a lot in the first round, which you don't see a lot from Dar early on in these matches.
No, he normally torments the life out of his opponent, but he couldn't do that with Mark. What got me though was right at the beginning how over Noam Dar was, considering he's supposed to be this huge heel. And the Noam Dar chance.
Yeah, and this was probably when they actually started, because for a couple of weeks we saw no fans. For a while we saw no fans, and then we saw one row of fans, and then we saw 2 rows of fans. Well, by this time, I think they started to get multiple rows of fans. So there were probably at least 100 people in there, maybe, and that was probably the biggest crowd we've seen up until this point. And they were really cheering for Noam Dar.
So they hadn't been given the memo that he's supposed to be the heel and nobody's supposed to cheer for him.
Well, it is wrestling, modern wrestling, so.
Yeah.
And I don't as much as you try to push Gallus as baby faces, they're just better heels. They're better to boo than cheer.
Yeah. I don't no Dar, try to torment Mark and he calls him a dafty.
Come on, Dafty.
Yeah. And the round ended with Mark trying to get the gator lock. And of course, no one gets out of that and then gives him a whack after the bell because that's what he does.
But then Mark said, "Oh no, you ain't getting one over on me, motherfucker!" Because he slapped the shit out of him right back.
He did.
Yeah, as hard as Dar hit him, Mark hit him back twice as hard. And then of course Nigel on commentary, "Oh come on!" Even though Dar just did the exact same thing.
And basically, round 2 was over before it started.
Mm-hmm.
No one charged Mark. Mark grabbed hold of him, got him in the gator lock, and that was it. A tap out.
Yeah, it had to be within 15 seconds because it didn't take very long.
No, it was about 15 seconds.
Yeah, and then as they're doing this, they have a cut screen of Shaw Samuels too. So every time they cut to him, and obviously this happens, and he's freaking out, losing his shit. But then he brings himself down to a realistic level. Remembers it's only one. It's only one. And so in the third round, Mark, really picks up the pressure. This round, he lands a big clothesline. He hits a bulldog from the middle rope. That's only going to get a 2 count. Dar is able to fight back into this thing by rolling out onto the apron, and then he lands. And like when Mark tries to come in and get him on the apron, Dar hits him with a nice elbow. Because Dar's got some of the best elbows I've ever seen.
Yeah, and that spinning elbow that he does, that looks lethal. How he doesn't hurt people with it, I don't know. But obviously he doesn't because you don't hear of him injuring people.
Right, and he hits that thing out of nowhere too. Is the thing. Yeah. Like you don't ever see it coming.
No.
Yeah, and so Dar starts giving some stiff kicks to the legs and chest of Mark Coffey, and then Dar goes for a Nova roller. He hits it, but the bell rings. Well, he didn't hit it. He was just about to hit it right before the bell rang. And luckily the referee got in the way too and stopped him. He would have done it anyway.
The referee pounced. He pounced on him. He was in the middle of the ball.
Yeah.
That was a wonderful bit of officiating.
So I'm not sure what that referee's name is. I think his first name is Chris.
Yeah.
I believe he's in the Performance Center now, isn't he?
Yeah, I hope he's not listening because I've forgotten his second name, and I know him well because he used to work for Progress.
So I think he was always the one that I thought was the best official in NXT UK.
Yeah,
I think he's really going to NXT too, and I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see him do main roster stuff. He's a really really good referee.
Oh, he's definitely gonna be the ref coach as things go on.
Right. But I mean, and he should be. He's fucking got plenty of experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, shout out to the referee. We're big ref guys here. So we head into the 4th round, Glenn, and we're still tied up. We still got Mark with the lead at 1.
Yeah. Starts off with Coffey gets a near fall, rolls him up very early, and Dar gets out of it as quickly as the second round was over. This round was over because somehow they were grappling on the floor, and Noam managed to wrangle it into a supernova knee bar, and he gets to tap out for the equalizing fall.
That's right. We're all tied up in 1 after the 4th round. Noam Dar, he tried to lock in the knee bar to open the round, but that's when Coffey kind of reversed it and almost got him into a pin. But then, I think it was he was on the apron or something, and he slid in, and
yeah.
I can't really explain to you how Noam Dar locks in the knee bar. He just does.
It's another one of these where you have to watch it rather than, especially the second match.
Yeah.
Keep up with the notes on that one.
And then the 6th round, I have a full paragraph of notes because there's a whole lot that goes down in the 6th round.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the 5th round. I thought the 5th round was the most back and forth round. The guys who were near fall or near fall. Both guys are landing big moves. Dar locks in a chokehold, but Mark powers out of it by using a back body drop.
We see Noam start the round with his sort of patented running drop kick.
Yep.
That's straight out the corner before the other guy's basically got the water bottle out of his mouth.
Right. He starts running before the bell rings.
Yeah.
Yeah, so both guys are just landing big strikes on each other as the 5th round ticks away. Mark is able to land a superplex, but he's not able to get a pinfall before the round can end, and so we will head to the 6th and final round.
There was a nice bit where Noam came off the ropes and tried to pin, but Mark caught him, and as he was trying to I think he was trying to slam him, but no one got him in like a guillotine hold, and they were sort of tied up.
Yeah, which is a sight to see for a guy the size of Noam Dar trying to put a guy the size of Mark Coffey in a guillotine hold.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 6th round starts, and Dar comes, he of course bails out of the ring immediately, and he tries to, he is trying to stay away from Mark as long, because if it ends in a draw, he's still the champion. So a draw is as good as a win for him.
Yeah. I can't understand why it hasn't been done before with the champion. If it's 1-1 and it's into the last round, just run away.
I would be running around the ring and getting in and out at 9 counts for the entire 3 minutes if I could.
Yeah.
And then he almost baits Mark into a knee bar, because he gets out of the ring. Mark chases him out of the ring. He gets back into the ring, and when Mark tries to get in the ring, he tries to lock in a knee bar, but he can't get it all the way locked in. We get some of those, precision elbows and stiff kicks to the head from Noam Dar. He tries to go for a kick too. He goes for a pin too, even putting his 2 feet up on the ropes, but it's not enough to keep Mark down.
I love that. He connected with an overroller actually outside the ring, which was a shame. It was outside the ring. It should have been inside the ring otherwise.
Yeah, so Mark almost gets to. They almost get a 10 count there, but Mark makes it in just right up the nick of time before he gets counted out. Dar lands another back elbow. Mark's able to kick out of that one. Mark then counters a Nova roller with an elbow, and then he follows it up with a clothesline and then a body slam.
Yeah.
It was like a whole bunch of big moves together.
He was basically saying, "You motherfucker, you're going to stay down here."
Yeah. And then for the final blow, he lands a big side elbow to the side of Dar's head, gets the 1, 2, 3, and he is the new Heritage Cup champion. And Shaw Samuels is in the back losing his shit.
Yes. For anybody that's listening to this but hasn't seen it yet, the following weeks leading up to the 25th of August are mobs of people chasing after Shaw Samuels after their money.
Yeah. And then when he doesn't have their money, people start demanding his shoes, and then they want his clothes. Yeah. Eventually he's sleeping in the doorway of the performance center. Yeah.
It was somebody that come over from NXT, challenged him to a match, and he said the immortal lines, "I've got my bag, I've got my kit, and that's it.
Yeah.
You're on."
And I still work here, is what he said. And then he fought Bodie Hayward from Chase U, who they let go, and I never understood why they let Hayward go. I thought he was really progressing. I didn't get it.
Hayward, that's it. He said,
and they locked up, right? And Bodie Hayward pushed him off. He's like, "Oh my God, you stink." Yeah, it's really funny. Yeah, so then Shaw comes under the ring. Him and Dar kind of have they don't even really say anything to each other. They just kind of give each other a look. And then Shaw opens his jacket up, and all of his betting slips are just falling out everywhere. And then the locker room empties. Wolfgang's out here. They're congratulating Mark Coffey. They do the whole, like they do in the soccer when you win the trophy and you hold it up and everybody goes, "Hey!" But then everybody realizes they got their betting slip and they want their fucking money from Shaw Samuels. And he's like, hey now.
Yeah, he's off.
Yeah, he's out of here. So I thought it was a really entertaining ending. It was really, really fun.
Yep. As people know on here by now that Shaw Samuels is well over with us.
Yeah, we really, really love him. We wish he was still with Noam Dar right now. That would be fantastic.
I'm not ruling it out yet.
I wouldn't put it past him either. I mean, I think they could figure something out.
I think there's going to be a surprise in the work somewhere along the line.
Yeah, let's hope. Let's hope. So our last match, Glenn, it's the same match. It's Noam Dar versus Mark Coffey, but this time Mark is the champion. Noam Dar is the challenger, and we're getting a rematch. Shaw and Noam Dar are seeming on the splits at this point, so it seems like Dar is on his own here. And this is the last Heritage Cup match in NXT UK, and this is actually the second to last episode of NXT UK.
I don't normally do this, but I know the ins and outs of this. Just a few days before this, that was when they were informed that it was closing. This was hurriedly put together because they wanted Noam Dar to be the champ. This was supposed to be a feud that went on. But when it was decided that they were going to close NXT UK down, And it all had to do, it was as much to do with contracts with BT Sport and BT changing to TNT Sport and losing the BT Sports Centre as much as anything else. And so they hurriedly put this together because they wanted Noam the champion going into NXT Europe with the Heritage Cup being the main title until they sorted out like the world champions or whatever, or European champions or whatever of the.
So they'd have an established champion defending a championship while they have like a tournament or whatever's going on to get a UK Europe champion.
And that is the reason that Noam Dar didn't automatically go straight to Florida after NXT closed down, because they were still negotiating at that time and wondering when NXT Europe was going to start up.
Yeah. And I read an interview that Triple H did not too long ago, and they asked him about NXT Europe, and he kind of said that with the company being purchased by someone kind of put that on hold for a little while, which makes a lot of sense, because I'm sure that a company, one company purchases another company, they're not going to try to be making any huge expenditures by making a new territory in another country, or not even another country, another continent.
It's not even that. Endeavor are fully in favor of it.
Well, yeah, they probably don't want to jump in, head first.
It's more licensing and that sort of thing, and the legal side of it, that everything's got to change, because everything was in the WWE name or Titan Entertainments or whatever they were calling themselves, but now it's all in Endeavor's name, so everything has had to change.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, like, I know they've done like 3 or 4 Heritage Cup matches on NXT UK, so. If they continue to do that, maybe we'll come back and do more of these and revisit some of those too. But for the time being, this is going to be the last one.
Yeah.
And so let's get into it. It's the first round, Glenn. Some good mat wrestling, some submission holds, because it's the last Heritage Cup match. It's the only way to go, right?
Yep. Noam tries to roll up Mark because he's early, because he wants his baby back.
That's right. Of course he does. And Mark did seem to be frustrating Dar a little bit in the first round, a lot like he did in the first round of the second match. And he's able to land some big moves. I think he hit a clothesline, a couple of big slams to Dar as the round.
Something you don't normally see from Mark Coffey as well is that he did a figure 4 on him. And Noam just about managed to drag himself to the ropes.
Which is hard to do with a guy that size in your legs.
Yeah. The other thing that was noticeable was in this first round, there wasn't the usual taunting from Dar. It was all business.
Yeah, he wasn't messing around here. He wasn't calling anybody dafties or playing like he was going to get out of the ring or anything like that. And then we head to the second round. We get more of the same in the second round than we got in the first. Things started to pick up a little bit more in the final minute of the round with both guys hitting some big moves. We get a couple of near falls. And then Dar starts doing that thing where he picks up your extremities and just stomps them down with his hand. He picks them up, stomps them down with his hand.
He did a lot of good of UK wrestling in this second round. Heel wrestling, that is. Because even when he had Mark down, he was sort of rubbing his elbow across his face and digging into his ribs and being a right nuisance.
Absolutely, yeah. As Noam Dar likes to be. So now the third round, Glenn, this is when business starts to pick up here in the third round, doesn't it?
And it started off quite amenable, actually, with a standard collar and elbow tie-up, which I don't normally see in these.
No, not at all.
But because that led to Mark bloody out muscling Noam as he would.
Yeah, he starts landing some big punches. He has a clothesline, but Dar is able to fight back with a knee, and he lands an elbow to the jaw of Mark, and then Dar looks like he's going for a Nova roller, but Mark is able to kind of sidestep it, I guess, and then Dar tries to get Mark back up, but Mark rolls through, and then he lands that same sort of elbow thing to the side of the head that he used to win with.
He senseless, didn't he?
He really did.
I don't think that was completely selling it.
Yeah, there was some malice in that one, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe they both like rival football teams, maybe Scottish football teams.
Quite possibly.
Could be. I don't know anything about Scottish football.
Places in Scotland.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine, pal. From all the fiery Scottish I've seen on NXT UK, I can only imagine, pal.
Yeah.
So Dar didn't look good going into this round. He was kind of having a hard time staying on his feet. It looked like they were going to call it off a couple of times. But then Dar bails out of the ring. At one point, Mark tosses him back in. The referee looks again like he might call the match. But of course, Noam Dar, I couldn't tell really because he looked like he wasn't faking it, but then like he would do things that made you think he was faking it. So even I was confused.
Yeah, it gets like that. But
yeah, so when it looks like the ref's going to call it, Dar goes for like a jackknife pin, but Mark kicks out. But then Dar is able to just roll it right into a knee bar, and Mark's got no choice but to tap out, and we're now tied all at 1.
Yes.
We head to the fifth round.
Noam starts hot in this, and he throws himself, but Mark just sort of swats him away, which is it's wonderful to see. There's somebody coming off the road at you, thump, bang on the floor. No chance.
Swat him like a bug out of the sky. Yeah. Also, in this round, you kind of started to notice that Mark may have tweaked his knee a little bit. He's really favoring the knee in the early parts of the round.
Because Coffey goes for tries for the gator lock again. It gets countered into the knee bar, and then of course Noam won't, as Mark manages to get to the rope, Noam won't release the hold.
Of course not.
Until a full 5 count.
Of course not. So Dar is really working on the knee in this round. He looks to lock in the knee bar. He finally does, but there's only a few seconds left in the round, and then the round comes to an end. So once again, we head to the 6th round with these guys all tied up at 1-1. Well, this was a hell of a round, wasn't
it? It was. Here we go. These are just some of the notes I've got on this. Dar tries a guillotine. Mark counters an elbow to the head from. Oh no, Dar tries a guillotine and Mark counters. So then Noam hits him with an elbow to the top of the head, so it spikes him.
Yeah, like right to the top of the head, like right in the forehead.
The Coffey hits does what he usually does when he gets hit hard. He rolls out of the ring.
One would do.
Back in. Before Coffey could get in himself, somebody pops out from underneath the ring. Oi, oi! Samaloi! It's Charles Samuels himself. Gives Mark this big, hefty push into the ring post and then throws him back in the ring.
And then Dar hits the old Nova roller for the 3 count and the win.
So many crossing out on that bit. I had to work my way down the page because I was trying to keep up with it all.
It was a lot. Like you said, go watch these goddamn things. We can't do them justice.
No, you can't.
So that does it. Noam Dar ends NXT UK as the Heritage Cup champion, just as it should be, Glenn. Just as it should be.
As it should be.
And him and Shaw Samuels were back together again, at least for one night.
Certainly were.
They certainly were. All right. Well, that's it. That's all. But so I picked out a top 3. Did you pick out a top 3?
Oh, yeah. I haven't actually. No, I don't know. I enjoy all of them in different ways.
Right.
Give me your top 3 and I'll see where I go.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if we'll have too much of a disagreement here. So number 3, I've got Tyler Bate versus Noam Dar. This is the one where Noam Dar won the whole number 1 contenders tournament. He then went on to face the champion Tyler Bate. The ending of this match was probably the best ending of any of these matches. As you got Trent Seven outside the ring, he's arguing with Pretty Deadly. They try to take his towel. He's with the towel. They let it go. He throws it in the ring. It makes it look like he's screwed Tyler Bate over, and Noam Dar wins. I just thought that was like a chef's kiss at the end, so that was really good.
Yeah, that was a foreshadowing of what was to come.
Yeah, with Tyler and Trent Seven. That went all the way down to the last episode of NXT UK. Yeah, and then number 2, this match was pure violence. Charlie Dempsey versus A-Kid.
Yeah, no argument there.
Man, they beat the shit out of each other, and that's about the description of that match. You've never seen that match, go watch it because it's a fucking masterpiece. And then my favorite one, this was a number 1 contenders one, and it shocked me that this is my favorite one, but it was A-Kid versus Nathan Frazier. It was a number 1 contenders match.
Say that. It's Nathan Frazier against A-Kid.
It was fucking phenomenal.
A technical masterclass.
It had everything you wanted. It had technical wrestling, submission wrestling, mat wrestling, and all the high flying shit. It had everything.
It did. It certainly did.
So yeah, that's my top 3 if I had to pick 3, and it wasn't easy.
No.
I basically went with the ones that I could really remember off the top of my head, so those had to be the ones that stuck out. You know what I mean?
I like them all so much that he's like trying to pick a favorite child, but yeah.
It's understandable. It's like me trying to pick my son. My son, like, sometimes jokingly likes to say, "Which dog do you love the most?" And I could never choose because I love all the dogs the most.
You just see the mayor's tweet on here that he put in our chat. I'm going to have to remember that Wolves never look like they may never score a goal ever, but they play really snug defence and interrupt everything. They must be 0-0.
They play Manchester United, right?
Yeah.
Well, Glenn, that is it. That's all for a cup of UK heritage. Who do you want to plug? Who do you need to plug before we get out of here?
All the usual suspects. I think they found a bonus episode of Unbooking the Territory.
Yeah, like NWA Wildfire or something, and it was Bob Sapp is involved, who's another MMA guy.
Yeah, so keep an eye out for that. As you Unbooking the Territory, DC and Doc.
The Bang Bang podcast with
Andy. And of course, for those sci-fi fans out there, it's the Doctor Who podcast with Danny and Cy.
Don't worry, Glenn. We're gonna record Warring to Attitude right after this, and I'll just take the plugs from this one and put it into that one, okay?
Okay.
All right, pals. So that's it. That's all. Make sure you check out Sportswire Radio. Give our buddy Thomas Bryce a follow on Twitter and on Instagram. It's Thomas Bryce 2020 on Instagram. It's Thomas Bryce 2017 on Twitter. And give our buddy, our third member of our co-host, our podcast team, our other co-host, the Mayor of Canton, a follow on Twitter. It's at Mayor of Canton. Glenn, I think that's it. That's all. Only thing left to do is for you to say.
We'll see you on the Sid side. Goodbye.
No. That's right. I forgot about that. Well, I'll make that announcement now. It's going to be a couple weeks. We're going to take a couple weeks off, but we're certainly soon going to be starting up the Life and Times of Psycho Sid. We're going to be calling that I Don't Know Shit. The Life and Times of Psycho Sid. So make sure you'll be on the lookout for that. There'll be some matches that we'll watch along if they're short, and there'll be some matches that we just review, but I'll try to find a promo building to every single match if I can.
Yeah. Well, you won't get any for Lord Humongous because he doesn't say anything, but I'm sure there's a few there with who was his manager at that time?
I don't know why I'm drawing a blank right now because I know he had one.
Is it Harley Race?
No, because the first few matches he's in Memphis. I can't think of who it is. Trust me, we're going to find all about it when we start.
Sure, we'll get some promos from whoever his manager is for Lord Humongous as well.
I definitely found some stuff. Don't you worry, pal. I found the skyscraper versus the fucking ding dongs. So how about that?
Excellent. I want to watch that one.
Don't worry, we're gonna. All right, Glenn. Well, now it's time for you to say goodbye.
Goodbye.